Hey, Amy Posner here, and I want to talk to you about investing in your business, particularly in group coaching and group training. Okay, so I just finished interviewing about a dozen people for the next round of my mastermind. This conversation is very fresh on my mind about, people thinking about, what they should invest in, how much they should invest, and how to know when it's the right time for them. So, one thing that I think is clearly obvious. It's like, you don't want to go into debt to join something if you're threatening your family's livelihood, or you're not going to be able to put food on the table, then it's probably not the right time to spend the money. Now, that said, there can be different perceptions about what you can afford. And only you really know, what you're going to be comfortable with. But what I will tell you, as someone who didn't understand for the longest time, that being in the right rooms was important, I would advise you to think about that a lot sooner. And there are all kinds of rooms you can be in, right? There are rooms that are way less expensive. They generally have more people in them. They're larger groups. There are really small elite groups like the mastermind that I'm running that only has 12 people in it. And it's a very tight, very focused group that's, comes together for a certain purpose for a certain time. The thing that I think is just really true in business is it's important to have a mentor. It's important to at least be connected with someone, if not a group of someone's, who are doing the same thing that you're doing, or doing it successfully and doing it in a way that jives with, whatever it is that you believe in, whatever your philosophy is. Just as an example, the focus of my mastermind is people finding what's theirs to do. And what that means for me in that context is I like to look at three things. How much money do you want to make? How much time do you have to make that money? And what is it that you love best that you do? Because a lot of us offer, multiple services, maybe multiple products, but there's something that we enjoy the most. And so I'm always looking for what's the intersection of those three things as as sort of your next thing to do, the thing that you're aiming for. And that's very much outside of, the drumbeat of this is what you should do, or the next shiny object, or you're not successful unless you've made six figures. I just get really tired of that noise. Because I think, honestly, the whole point of being in business is to have something that you control, that suits you, that you're excited to get up and do every morning and you feel really good about. Now, that doesn't mean every single morning you're going to get up, singing and ready, but it means most mornings, yes, you are. You've created something, and there's nothing more satisfying than having built something and having built it yourself from scratch. But the reality is, for a lot of us too, we work alone. We work in isolation. Our work product suffers because of it. Our mental health sometimes suffers because of it. Our business growth trajectory can sometimes suffer because of it, because we just keep going over and over and over things in our minds, and we can get paralyzed, and then we have shiny object syndrome. Oh, so-and-so is doing this, and this one's added day rates, and this one's doing productized services, and maybe I should be doing that. And then you don't even think about like what suits me best or what serves my goals. It's just this like sort of frenzied, unplanned running around, which is, I think, what you want to avoid. And so group coaching, ideally, it puts you in contact with the person who's running the group. And by in contact, I mean indirect coaching with. You have somebody who's, kind of looking over your shoulder and helping you to achieve your goals. And it varies, of course, right? In these various groups. I told you what sort of the goal of my group is. Other groups might be skills-based, or there's some other outcome. So you want to make sure that it's the outcome, first of all, that you're after, that the way that this person works and their sort of philosophy, if you will, lines up with yours. Because, people do things different ways. And you want to find somebody, that you resonate with. There's something about them or something about what they believe or the way they work that really appeals to you. And then you want to know like who else is going to be in the room and what's the point of the room. But here's the thing that's so brilliant. And this is a really hard thing to convey, right? It's not an easy thing to, quote, sell. And that's the community aspect and having people who see you, get you, and have your back. And that's what can happen in the best groups. And you grow because you see what's possible for other people. You see that those other people are struggling in the same sort of human frailty areas that you are, or maybe in different areas, but I think it's easy when you're starting something or you're just beginning to climb the ladder. It's easy to feel like, oh, everyone up there, they've already gone through all the problems. They have it made. It's all sorted. And the truth about being in business and about being human is it's about solving problems that, dealing with things as they arise. And they do. They just do inevitably, right? In life, in business, there's always going to be a challenge out in front of you. In fact, I very firmly believe that your response to those challenges really determines your success. Like, in other words, I've seen people make a huge big deal out of things that, I don't know, to me are like, nothing. They just roll off my back. And I've seen other people for whom these things roll off their back and they just keep moving, and I think how you respond to those challenges determines how fast you can move, what kind of momentum you can create, and what kind of attitude you're projecting. And so when you get in the room with other people who are doing things, maybe they're further along than you, or they're doing things, I was going to say better than you, but not better than you, but they've maybe thought about it more. They've been around other people. They've been able to pick their brains and, adapt some of their processes. So the advantage is you get perspective that you'll never get any other way, especially in an intimate group. And you're going to see what people are doing specifically in their business. And suddenly it becomes like less of a big deal. It's like, oh, I really admire that person and they're going through that too. Okay. So this must be normal, or I must be more okay than I thought. So you get this amazing perspective. If you get in the right group, you have people who will have your back and will answer questions for you. Because I find a lot of times what happens in business is we get stopped by a spin, right? It's like you're going along and you get a new idea, or there's something new presented to you, and, or you want to make a new initiative and but you're not quite sure about it. So it just spins and it spins and it spins and you can't make a decision. So you don't implement, and then you feel bad because you haven't implemented, and it just gets you into this bigger spin. If you're in a group and you have a coach looking after you, that's not going to happen. They're not going to allow you to just sit there in the spin. So it helps you to move more quickly off of that. And honestly, momentum is a real value in business. It just is. It's, once you get the machine cranking, you want to keep the machine in motion. The other thing that I didn't realize early on about being in the right room is you make connections with people. Sometimes that will, be lifetime friendships. Sometimes will land you business. Sometimes will help you to see a new aspect of business that you didn't realize was something either that you could do or that you might love. And it just gets you thinking about so many possibilities. And I think it makes you feel that things are more possible, right? The things that feel difficult when you're alone in your cave and just laser focused and all you can see is, all you have is your own perspective. It's a way more difficult process. In terms of joining groups and spending money, I don't think you should go broke. You have to be ready and feel like it's not too big of a financial drain. But I'll also repeat something that someone said to me just this morning that I thought was really interesting. She had been looking at a couple of groups and nothing was really grabbing her and they all seemed kind of expensive and she had never made that kind of investment and she wasn't sure that she should. And we knew each other a bit. She's in another program that I coach. And so she had seen a little bit of my style and I'd seen hers. And then when she saw I had a mastermind, she looked and she's like, oh, somehow it resonated with her. Whatever it is that I do, she was drawn to. But here's the interesting thing. The price was higher than these ones that she had already decided were too expensive. But the price was no longer the issue for her. She saw something that she wanted and she wanted in, and she found a way to make it work. And it turned out to be really beneficial for her in very many ways. And I'm not saying like, oh, spend above what you feel comfortable with. What I'm saying is sometimes when the right thing comes along, and it's worth it. I have a funny story about that for myself. I'll just tell you real quick. I said I didn't get it for a long time, that like being in the room, in the room where it happens was a good thing. But I also knew when the right person came along that I thought I could learn from, that I wanted to get involved with them. And I particularly said whenever a woman comes along who's teaching copy and copy theory, because, the field had been so dominated by men, and I'd taken a lot of courses and they were all for men. So when the mastermind that I wanted to join came along, it was $12,000. And I'm telling you, that's a jaw-dropping amount of money. It was even more money for me then than it seems to be now. And how you're like, but I want the thing, but the money, but the thing, but the money. Can I afford it? Should I afford it? And the truth was, I could pay it out over time and I was making money, but it just felt like such a huge ask and such a huge commitment. And I figured, oh, I'm going to go tell my partner, who's going to think, are you out of your mind? Like, we haven't spent that kind of money on anything. But no, instead she was very supportive and said, I absolutely think you should go for this. I think this will be career changing for you. I think it'll be wonderful. And in fact, it was. I met people who are my friends still to this day. They're people that if you move in the world, in the copywriting world, particularly at all, they're people who have gone on to do some amazing things themselves and become kind of known names and celebrities in the field. But it was life changing for me, and partly getting a perspective on what people were doing, where I fit into that equation, who people were working with, how they were doing it. All of those things were just fascinating to me, and it actually changed my life. And so I just want to recommend, even if you feel like you're not there yet or you can't afford it yet, have that in your mind to be putting money aside to be able to do that when the time feels right for you. Because I think it's really important to make those connections, especially if you're in a field where it's not easy to access people because we work alone. And that connection and that perspective, I think, can just absolutely be life-changing. So I want to encourage you to kind of have that in your mind, and don't ever think that you're too new. I have coached people who literally started their copywriting business the week before and have helped them overcome obstacles that might have taken them a year, that we've been able to do in an express way because they were very deliberate and very focused, and they knew where they wanted to get. They just didn't know how to get there or what the best path was to take. And I had a few of those in my mastermind too. They were relatively new, but they really wanted to bypass some of the headache of learning how to be a business owner and knowing, how to overcome some obstacles, and even knowing what obstacles might arise. So I want to encourage you to build that in or plan that into your budgeting, so that if it's not something that you can do right away, it's something that you can do down the road, because I have to say it is absolutely meaningful and of value. Yeah, sorting out, which place is right for you, that's another story. And I think a lot of it is your gut. There's a number of great people out there, which one resonates with you, which one, feels like they get you and they can help you, or they've accomplished something that you want to accomplish. And trust me, when you get in those groups, you should be anyway, well looked after by whoever's running the group. When extra work comes my way, guess who I give it to? People in my mastermind. When I need help on a project, guess who I go to? People in my mastermind. That was the thing that I missed about being in the room years ago. And of course, it makes perfect sense, right? Of course, that's how it would work. But I'm not really the slowest learner, but I must say on that, I was behind the curve. So anyway, I hope that will help you, sort of get out of your head about this and validate that having a mentor and working with colleagues can really be so life-changing, and it can help you to achieve your business goals. So consider it in your mix. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. If you'd like to be notified when these videos drop, you can click the little bell and you will be notified. And if you've got questions, pop them below. I'm happy to answer questions. I am also up for hearing about what topics you would like covered in these videos. I would be happy to cover a topic, something that you're interested in and I know something about. All right, take care. Bye for now.